Have you ever noticed how something as small as a fingernail can quietly reveal the state of your inner world? A thickened, yellowed nail is not merely a cosmetic inconvenience, it is a living signal, a slow conversation between your body and the microscopic organisms that share your environment. Nail fungus thrives not because it is powerful, but because conditions allow it to be. And when we understand those conditions, we regain control. We must understand the biology. Fungal organisms prefer darkness, moisture, warmth, and limited oxygen. The nail plate, especially as circulation slows with age, can become an ideal shelter. After 60, blood flow to the extremities decreases slightly, immune responses become more measured, and the nail grows more slowly. This slower growth gives fungus time to settle and spread. Healing, therefore, begins not with aggression, but with restoring balance, improving circulation, reducing moisture, and gently disrupting the fungal habitat. Consider the role of acidity. Fungi struggle in acidic environments. A simple home preparation using diluted apple cider vinegar can shift the pH of the nail surface, creating conditions less favorable for fungal survival. Soaking the affected nails for 15 to 20 minutes daily is not about instant eradication, it is about gradually changing the ecosystem. Biology responds to consistency more than intensity. We turn to natural antifungal compounds. Garlic contains allicin, a sulfur-containing compound with documented antimicrobial properties. When crushed fresh and mixed lightly with a carrier oil, it can be applied carefully to the nail surface. The goal is not to burn or irritate, but to expose the fungus to compounds that interfere with its cellular processes. Nature often hides powerful chemistry within ordinary foods. Hydrogen peroxide in low concentration offers gentle oxidation. Fungal cells, like all living structures, rely on stable membranes. Oxidative exposure weakens these membranes and reduces their ability to multiply. Applied cautiously and briefly, it becomes a tool, not a weapon, assisting the body's own immune vigilance. None of these methods succeed without addressing circulation and dryness. Keeping feet clean, thoroughly dried, exposed to air when possible, and supporting blood flow through light movement enhances the body's defense. A fungus does not dominate a strong environment, it occupies neglected spaces. And when we tend to those spaces with patience, knowledge, and respect for our biology, even something as stubborn as nail fungus begins to retreat, not because we fought harder, but because we restored harmony where imbalance once lived. Before we attempt to eliminate nail fungus, we must first understand why it appears and why it persists, especially after the age of 60. A fungal infection of the nail is not simply an invasion, it is a reflection of environment, circulation, immunity, and time. Fungi are opportunistic organisms. They do not force their way into strong, well-defended tissue. They settle where conditions quietly favor them, in warm, moist, low-oxygen spaces where growth is slow and immune surveillance is less active. The nail plate, particularly in older adults, can gradually become such a space. As we age, blood flow to the toes and fingers often decreases slightly. This is not dramatic, but it is meaningful. Capillaries deliver oxygen, nutrients, and immune cells to peripheral tissues. When circulation slows, the nail bed receives fewer of these protective elements. At the same time, nails grow more slowly with age. A healthy young nail may fully replace itself in months, naturally pushing out damaged or infected portions. In later years, this renewal process takes longer, giving fungal colonies more time to anchor themselves beneath the nail surface. Moisture compounds the issue. Tight shoes, synthetic socks, or inadequate drying after bathing create a microclimate that fungi prefer. Darkness and warmth complete the picture. What appears as a thickened or yellowed nail is often the visible sign of this hidden ecosystem. Understanding this biology shifts our mindset. Instead of asking how to attack the fungus aggressively, we begin asking how to transform the environment it depends on. When circulation improves, when moisture is reduced, and when nail growth is supported, the body gradually reclaims territory that fungus once occupied, restoring balance at a pace aligned with natural healing processes. If we look closely at the biology of fungi, we discover something fascinating. They are highly sensitive to their chemical surroundings. One of the most influential environmental factors is pH. Most pathogenic fungi that affect the nails prefer a slightly neutral to mildly alkaline environment to thrive. When that balance shifts toward acidity, their ability to grow, reproduce, and adhere to tissue weakens. This is where a simple household ingredient, such as apple cider vinegar, becomes scientifically interesting. Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, a mild organic acid that can gently lower the surface pH of the nail and surrounding skin. When diluted properly and used consistently as a soak, it creates conditions that are less hospitable to fungal colonies. The process is not instant because fungal cells are resilient and often embedded beneath layers of thickened nail. However, daily exposure to a mildly acidic environment interferes with their metabolic activity. Enzymes that fungi rely on to break down keratin, the protein that makes up nails, function less efficiently when the surrounding pH is altered. Over time, this subtle disruption slows fungal expansion. There is also a secondary effect worth reflecting on. A vinegar soak encourages careful attention to hygiene and drying. After soaking, the nail must be thoroughly dried, reducing moisture, another key requirement for fungal survival. The ritual itself becomes therapeutic, not just chemically, but behaviorally. What makes this approach powerful is its simplicity. It does not attempt to overwhelm the body or damage surrounding tissue. Instead, it gently shifts the ecological balance. In doing so, it reminds us that healing is often about altering conditions rather than waging war, about creating an environment where unwanted organisms gradually lose their advantage and natural defenses quietly regain their strength.
When we turn our attention to garlic, we are not relying on folklore alone, but on chemistry that has been quietly studied for decades. Inside a fresh clove of garlic lies a compound called allicin, formed when the clove is crushed or chopped. This reaction is a defense mechanism of the plant itself, designed to protect it from microbes in the soil. What protects a plant can, under the right conditions, influence microorganisms that affect us as well. Allicin has demonstrated broad antimicrobial activity, including effects against certain fungi, by interfering with enzymes that are essential for cellular metabolism. Fungal cells, though simple, are remarkably organized. They depend on stable cell membranes and precise biochemical reactions to grow and spread beneath the nail. Allicin appears to disrupt some of these processes by reacting with sulfur-containing proteins inside microbial cells. When these proteins are altered, the fungus loses efficiency in energy production and structural maintenance. It does not collapse instantly, but its growth becomes less vigorous. Consistency again becomes more important than intensity. To use garlic thoughtfully at home, the clove should be crushed fresh to activate its compounds, then mixed with a small amount of carrier oil, such as olive or coconut oil, to reduce irritation. The mixture can be applied gently to the affected nail, avoiding surrounding sensitive skin. The goal is not to create burning or inflammation, but to expose the fungal colony to a natural chemical stress it cannot easily adapt to. This approach also reflects a broader principle. Nature contains complex biochemical tools hidden within ordinary foods. When applied with patience and respect for the body's limits, these compounds can support healing in a way that aligns with biology rather than overwhelming it, reinforcing the idea that small, consistent actions often shift health more effectively than dramatic interventions.
Hydrogen peroxide may seem like a simple antiseptic found in a household cabinet, yet its action is rooted in a fundamental biological principle, oxidation. At low concentrations, typically around 3% or less, hydrogen peroxide releases oxygen molecules when it comes into contact with organic tissue. This reaction creates a mild bubbling effect, which many people recognize visually, but beneath that surface reaction lies a subtle chemical influence on microbial life. Fungal cells, like all living organisms, rely on the integrity of their cell membranes and internal proteins to survive. Oxidative molecules can destabilize these structures by altering lipids and proteins that maintain cellular stability. When hydrogen peroxide is applied briefly to an affected nail, it introduces a controlled oxidative stress. For fungal colonies that are already struggling in an altered environment, perhaps one made drier, more acidic, or better oxygenated, this additional stress can weaken their resilience and reduce their ability to spread. However, the emphasis must always be on moderation. The nail plate itself is composed of keratin, a durable but not indestructible protein. Excessive or prolonged exposure to oxidative agents can dry or irritate surrounding skin, which paradoxically may create microcracks that allow deeper microbial penetration. Therefore, short applications followed by thorough drying are more aligned with healthy tissue preservation. There is also a physiological dimension worth reflecting on. Fungi tend to prefer low oxygen and closed spaces. By introducing oxygen at the surface, even temporarily, we disrupt that preference. The treatment is not about harsh eradication, but about gently shifting the biochemical landscape. In doing so, we assist the immune system's quiet surveillance, allowing the body to reclaim territory in a way that respects both microbial biology and the delicate structure of aging nails. Even the most carefully chosen home remedy will struggle if circulation remains poor and moisture continues to accumulate. The fifth principle, therefore, is less about applying something to the nail and more about transforming the conditions in which the nail lives. Blood flow to the toes is not merely a background function. It is the delivery system for oxygen, nutrients, and immune cells that quietly monitor microbial activity. With age, peripheral circulation can become less efficient, particularly in individuals who sit for long periods or have metabolic conditions that affect vascular health. Gentle daily movement, simple ankle rotations, short walks, or elevating and flexing the feet can stimulate venous return and improve capillary exchange. This increased flow enhances the body's natural ability to contain and gradually clear infection. Dryness is equally essential. Fungi rely on moisture to digest keratin and expand beneath the nail plate. After bathing, feet should be dried carefully, especially between the toes where water lingers. Breathable footwear and natural fiber socks reduce trapped humidity. Alternating shoes allows interiors to dry fully between uses, limiting the persistence of a damp microenvironment. These habits may seem modest, but they alter the ecological niche that fungi depend upon. There is also a psychological dimension to this principle. When individuals consistently care for their feet, trimming nails properly, observing changes early, maintaining cleanliness, they shift from passive reaction to active stewardship of their health. The body responds to attention. Tissues that receive oxygen, movement, and dryness become less hospitable to opportunistic organisms. Over time, as the nail slowly grows forward and healthier keratin replaces damaged layers, the visible signs of infection diminish. What appears to be a stubborn condition often softens when circulation, hygiene, and environmental balance are restored with patience and steady commitment.